So, I mean, for starters, this is unlike my first theory, quote-unquote, theory video, which was a joke that it was based off of a stupid joke I made during my Pokemon Insurgents Randomizer episode 1. This theory video, quote-unquote, I don't know if you can even call it a theory video or whatever, is actually more of really based on facts. So, if that's what you're into. I mean, if that's what you're into, I probably wouldn't watch most of my other videos. I'm not really known as the fact guy. I'm known as the person that makes stuff up on the internet. Also known as a guy on the internet. But anyway, here's my theory video. I wrote out a 3-page script, and then when I was rereading it before the video started, I realized how many grammatical and writing mistakes I made, so it's a bit sketchy. I only spent like a half hour typing it. So, yeah. Here we go, okay? And also probably adding and subtracting stuff as I see the necessary reasons to do so. The mystical world of Pokemon, a strange world filled with wonder and awe. Wherever you look, in the cities, in skies, deep in the oceans. For all we know, even the depths of space can be filled with Pokemon yet to be discovered. In the last few years, more mysteries have been going around. None have been more eerie and creepy than the mimicking Pokemon Mimikyu. Mimikyu, this strange Pokemon, lives its life in the darkest and most unforgiving place in all of Pokemon. For all we know, it could be the darkest place in the known universe. Of course, this dark place is in the shadow of Pokemon number 25. Pikachu, the electric mouse Pokemon. It cloaks itself in what only looks like a costume of this iconic Pokemon. To be honest, this Pokemon's true body has never been seen. A lot like how the true face of a Cubone hasn't been seen as well. But the only known person to have ever been able to see the insides of a costume, a young Pokemon researcher, was so shocked at what he saw. He literally died of pure horror. And most people think they have bad looks. But why? Why would any Pokemon want or have to cloak itself in a costume to be more popular, just to be liked? Well, to this, we look to the Pokemon website for answers. It talks about how it just wants. It talks about how it hides its true form, to look more popular, to look like the popular rodent, to try to make friends since it's horribly lonely. I know if I was so horrible looking, I killed people with a horrible illness just by being seen unintentionally. I'd probably do the same. Mimikyu clearly chose Pokemon because its huge popularity, or, well, as the site puts it, its popularity of Pikachu-related merchandise that spiked 20 years ago. Most people already know this. They're like, please, come on, I already know this. I'm a Pokemon master. I've been to them all. I've been to Kanto, Johto, Hoenn. I'm a Pokemon master. Okay, you don't need to tell me this. And most of them, as well, will just assume it's because it's novice trainer Ash's ace signature Pokemon, or because it's the Pokemon Master Red's signature as well. But I came to a different conclusion. In fact, this conclusion actually led me to come to the shocking conclusion of the location of the newly discovered region of Alola. It all started a few days ago when I was watching reruns of Ash's quest of masterhood in the Pokemon world. A lot like how I'm currently doing in my own series. My eye widened as I watched episode 13 of the second season of the Pokemon anime. In the title being the Pikahuna, which is most likely based off of the Big Kahuna. A lot like how the Alola region has their own kahunas, but we'll get to that shortly. To most, it would seem like a standard plot filler episode, but to me, no. No, it held a key to unraveling the secrets of Alola as we know it. In the episode, Ash, Misty, and Brock were on break training in wait for Ash's chance of a lifetime. His chance at the Indigo Plateau, to show he was the very best, like no one ever was. In these episodes, Ash and crew were training in the Whirl Islands, but yet seemed to somehow never train at all for one reason or another. They never really get much training done. But let's get back on track. This episode was revolving around the huge wave that somehow hits the island every 20 or so years. I'm not really... I don't consider myself to be, like, I don't identify myself as a wave, so I'm not sure if that's how waves do it. If you are a wave, comment down below and tell me if that's actually how you guys do it. You only go to the Whirl Islands every 20 years. But anyway. During the last wave that had struck the island, there was only one surfer who was able to ride this very tall wave, high enough to strike his flag on top of this very tall rock. This surfer's name was Jay. A very, very special name for many special people. Unless your name isn't Jay, in which case I don't think people would find that you'd find Jay to be a very special name. After this event, Jay gave his signature marked surfboard to a new surfer named Victor. Victor's one and only episode that he's been seen in, to my knowledge, is this one. But what makes this stand out from the rest is how Victor doesn't surf alone. He has a very special surfing helper, Pikachu. At the end of the episode, Victor ends up surfing on top of the oncoming tsunami, hitting his flag next to Jay's on top of the rock, the second person who had ever done so, and the first to do so with a Pokemon riding on his surfboard. But what would this have to do with anything? But what does this have to do with anything, you may ask? Well, while in the game's Whirl Islands are usually seen as 3 islands, in the anime, there are actually 4 main islands, with one having a volcano on it. A lot like how in the Alola anime, Kiawe's house has a volcano. If my research is correct, then my theory is that sometime after the events of Red, Blue, Green, and Yellow, or just in this mega capable timeline or whatever, at least, the Whirl Islands had become separated from the Kanto region and became the islands of Alola. Now, you may be wondering, where's the proofs to back your claim? And I'd happily give them. For starters, both Alola and Kanto have some of the same Pokemon. For like Sandslashes, you got your Sandslash, Executors, your Vulpix, all those cool guys, which are both in Alola and in Kanto. Of course, there would be close to, as like in the real world, close places happen to have a lot of the same Pokemon with some differences to live in their respective locations much more easier. Let's go. And the same animals on with some different would have some differences to live in their respective locations. In the Pokemon world, that difference would be their type. They swapped one type for one or more types that would they swapped one or more types for a new way to survive in their newer climates. For example, Executor changing from a grass and psychic type to a grass and dragon type because it unleashed its inner dragon within with more sunlight or something. A lot, so they would change their types to live in their newer climates. In fact, soon to be Pokemon trainer Sun or Moon, based on whichever game you happen to pick, had just moved in from the Kanto region, and at the end of the game, spoiler alert, after Sun and Moon beats the Pokemon League and the party, and after the party, Lily says she wants to go train in Kanto. Later on, the very hot, sexy Professor Kukui, or as I said it in one of my videos, hot, sexy Professor Cookie, hold on, yeah, so, later on, the hot Professor Sexy Kukui of the Alolan Professor says that it's not much of a problem since Kanto isn't very far away. A lot like how the World Islands are just due south of the town of Pallet. But so what? What would it matter even if Alola were the World Islands? Well, in that case, then of course Pikachu merchandise would rise up 20 or so years ago, since the second surfer to strike his flag on top of the rock, and the surfer who did so with a Pikachu no less, and in the episode talked about earlier, it was shown to be quite a big deal with hundreds of people trying to do the same as Victor, but none of them succeeding and barely even making it halfway up the rock. Of course, a Pokemon like that would become famous to the people of Alola, even having plush dolls conveniently near beaches in the storehouse, which Mimikyu happens to live in. Conveniently, it's next to a beach. Which this may actually even be the beach in which it happened, which would explain why there was such an increase of them having Pokemon Pikachu merchandise there. While the running joke of a surfing Pikachu is a very common one seen in the Pokemon world, even being seen in the intro of the game Pokemon Yellow, Victor's Pikachu was different. It was older, and it had more ruffled hair than Ash's, and has a blank, sort of glossy blue eyes, and felt the area with sort of his aura without him actually seeming to see it, relying on his aura and how he felt around the world to move around. With him while he wasn't surfing, this Pikachu had happened to know would usually be seen in the episode standing on this edge of this cliff, which sort of looked a lot like a surfboard. This is a common way of showing that a character would be blind without directly mentioning it. Which would make his accomplishment all the more so well known and famous, and clothing stores and in the clothing stores of Alola, they sell a t-shirt with a Pikachu riding on a surfboard, a lot like how Pikachu in the anime had done the same, further linking the two and as the same event. As it would seem in Ultra Sun and Moon, the Ultra Sun and Moon games, coming first in all of the surfing courses and talking to a man looking for the best surfers, he'd give you a Pikachu with none other than the move Surf. Just like how this Victor's Pikachu did so perfectly all those years ago. All of these pieces fit almost perfect. All of these links fit almost perfectly in line, making an unreal connection, fitting into the place. Wait, no, come on. Let me restart that. Okay, let me restart that. All of these links fit almost perfectly in line, making an unreal connection between fitting all of into place from any idea I could possibly think about. Of course, Pikachu would be famous, seeing how Victor's blind Pikachu helped him do what only one other surfer had ever done in history of Alola. Does this theory hold any grounds? Comment down below and tell me your thoughts on the matter. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, and if you really liked the video, which I don't know why you would, but if you did, then consider hitting that sub button next to the like button. And as always, thanks for watching Pokemon Masters.